Welcome to NFL Nexus. Every so often in the NFL, a team gets to a point where they realize that just patching a few holes here and there just isn't going to cut it anymore. They decide it's time to pull everything back to the studs, find the load-bearing walls, and start a complete and total renovation. And folks, that is exactly what's happening down in Miami. The Dolphins are undergoing a massive foundational shift, and today, we're going to break down the architect's plan for 2026 and beyond. This isn't just about getting ready for a new season. This is about building a whole new era. There's a new head coach at the helm, and a very clear, very aggressive strategy is taking shape right before our eyes. A strategy designed to finally build a perennial contender.
Okay, so let's just dive right into this transformation because believe me, it is so much more than just a fresh coat of paint. This is a full-on gut renovation. You've got a new head coach, Jeff Hafley, who's bringing in a brand new philosophy. You have a coaching staff that's being assembled piece by careful piece to reflect his specific vision. And on top of all that, the whispers are getting louder and louder about a potential blockbuster move in free agency for a true offensive chess piece. So the big question we're digging into today is, what's the master plan here? What is the identity they're trying to build? Is this the blueprint that finally elevates the Dolphins from just a playoff hopeful to a genuine scary threat in the AFC? Well, to find the answer, we have to start where every great build begins, with the foundation.
Any great plan has to start with a strong foundation. And for a new head coach, that means one thing above all else. You have to surround yourself with people you trust, people who speak your language, who can execute your specific vision from the moment they walk in the door. And Jeff Hafley wasted absolutely no time in that department. He immediately began putting together a hand-picked group of coaches, targeting people who not only align with his philosophy on paper, but who also fit the culture he wants to build. This isn't just about filling empty offices. This is about strategically creating a brand new identity for the Miami Dolphins, an identity that starts with the leaders in the meeting rooms long before it ever hits the field on Sunday.
And that whole process started with an immediate, almost laser-like focus on the trenches. In today's football, everything, and I mean everything, starts up front. You can have the best quarterback in the world, the fastest receivers, but if your offensive line can't hold up for more than 2 seconds, your entire offense is going to crumble. Hafley made it priority number 1, and the changes came with lightning speed. Within a single week, the Dolphins completely reshaped the leadership of their offensive line room. On a Wednesday, they bring in Zach Yenser as the lead O-line coach. Just 2 days later, on Friday, they add Matt Applebaum as his assistant. This rapid 1-2 punch is no coincidence. It's a powerful signal of intent. They're here to fortify their protection and revolutionize their run-blocking schemes. And they're not waiting around to do it.
The first piece of that O-line puzzle was Zach Yenser. He comes over to Miami after being the assistant O-line coach for the Houston Texans. Now, on the surface, this might seem like a standard hire, but it's actually a really strategic move. When you bring in a coach from a completely different organization, especially a successful one like Houston, you're deliberately injecting new DNA into your program. Hafley is looking to import fresh perspectives, maybe some different techniques. Yenser's experience in Houston's zone blocking scheme, a system that really values athletic linemen who can move, could be a critical element in evolving this unit. He's now the guy in charge of the whole group, tasked with setting a new tone and implementing the core principles of Hafley's vision right there in the trenches.
Okay, now this next hire, this is where things get really interesting. The hiring of Matt Applebaum is just a brilliant strategic move on a couple of different levels. First, and most obviously, he has a direct history with Jeff Hafley. They worked together for 3 seasons back at Boston College. That pre-existing trust, that communication shorthand, that is absolutely invaluable for a new coach who's trying to install a complex system. But here's the real kicker. Applebaum is also a familiar face in Miami. He was the Dolphins O-line coach back in 2022. So think about this. It's not just hiring a trusted colleague, it's hiring someone who already knows the building, knows some of the players, and understands the organization's culture. It's really the best of both worlds. A move that combines loyalty to the new coach with familiarity for the franchise, which should just dramatically speed up the learning curve for that entire unit.
And the hiring spree did not stop with the offensive line. Hafley has been methodically filling out his staff with a really interesting blend of experience and specialists. Let's just pause on that first name for a second. Nathaniel Hackett as quarterbacks coach. Wow, that is a massive addition. You're bringing in a former NFL head coach, a guy who has been an offensive coordinator for multiple teams, to mentor your single most important player. The layer of experience and the depth of knowledge that adds to your offensive staff room, it's just hard to quantify. Then you flip to the defense. You bring in Al Washington to command the linebackers, Jahaim Al-Ade to coach up the corners, two absolutely critical position groups for Hafley's scheme. Liddell Betts takes over the running backs. Wendell Davis helps with quality control. Each and every one of these hires is a carefully selected piece chosen to fit Hafley's specific vision for how to develop players and how to win on game day.
Okay, so let's move to the next phase of this blueprint. Once you get your coaching brain trust in place, the focus naturally shifts from the whiteboard to the roster. I mean, how do you find the actual players who can bring this new vision to life on the field? Well, according to league insiders, Miami is not planning on being conservative. They're reportedly setting their sights on making a major splash in free agency, looking for a unique, game-altering weapon to become the centerpiece of their new-look offense. This is where the blueprint moves from abstract theory to tangible, game-winning talent.
And the name at the absolute center of all that buzz is the former Atlanta Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts. The connection is getting stronger by the day, and this quote from Gridiron Heroics just perfectly captures why. Let's really unpack that key phrase, matchup versatility. For years now, the Dolphins have struggled to find consistent, dynamic production from the tight end spot. But Kyle Pitts, he isn't just a potential upgrade, he's a total paradigm shift. He is the kind of player whose skill set forces a defense to fundamentally change how they align and what kind of players they put on the field. That ability to dictate the terms of engagement before the snap, that is the holy grail for offensive coordinators. It creates opportunities not just for Pitts, but for every other receiver on the field with him. Now, the crucial point here, the reason this is even a real possibility, is the timing. This isn't the same Kyle Pitts who had a bit of an inconsistent start to his career. No, the timing is absolutely perfect for both him and a team like Miami. In 2025, he had a massive rebound season. He put up career-best numbers across the board and really emphatically reestablished himself as one of the league's most dangerous pass catchers. That performance didn't just revive his market value. It was a loud and clear reminder of the kind of generational talent that made him a top 5 draft pick in the first place. He proved he can be the focal point of a passing attack, and that is exactly the kind of player Miami is looking to build around. And this right here, this brilliantly illustrates what makes him so unique. Kyle Pitts is just not a traditional hand-in-the-dirt tight end. On the left, you've got your classic tight end. He's mostly an inline blocker, a reliable possession guy who complements the offense. But on the right, you have Kyle Pitts, the very definition of a modern offensive weapon. He can line up anywhere, in line, in the slot, split out wide like he's your number one receiver. Let me just paint you a quick picture. It's 3rd and 6. The defense wants to play man-to-man. Who do they put on Kyle Pitts? If they use a linebacker, he's just too slow. If they try to use their best cornerback, Pitts is way too big and physical. If they use a safety, he's probably giving up either size or speed. That right there is a defensive coordinator's nightmare. He doesn't just complement the offense, he defines the matchups.
But let's be crystal clear about this. Signing a player like Kyle Pitts is a massive, franchise-altering gamble. The rewards, as you can see, are pretty obvious. He immediately fixes one of the team's biggest weaknesses, and his presence alone would create more favorable one-on-one matchups for literally everyone else. He is just tailor-made for an offense that's built on creating mismatches. The risks, however, are just as real. Despite his huge 2025 rebound, his early career inconsistency is still part of his resume. And more importantly, he's going to command a lucrative top-of-the-market contract. And in the world of the NFL salary cap, that's not just about the money you pay him. It's about the players you can't pay because of that deal. It is a very high-risk, very high-reward bet that could very well define Miami's entire offseason and shape their roster for the next 5 years.
So when you just take a step back and you connect all these dots, the swift, decisive coaching hires and the rumored pursuit of an elite, expensive free agent, a very clear and very aggressive strategy comes into focus. This is not a team that's interested in tinkering around the edges or a slow, patient rebuild. Nope, this is a front office and a new head coach making bold, calculated moves to reshape this franchise in their image, and to do it quickly. It is a plan that's designed to accelerate their competitive timeline and to build a winner right now. We can basically break down their 2026 blueprint into these 3 distinct, logical steps. First, they established new leadership by hiring Jeff Hafley, which set a completely new direction and philosophy for the whole organization. Step 2, they immediately empowered him to build his own hand-picked coaching staff, filling the building with trusted colleagues and experienced minds who can install his system effectively. And then step 3, the final phase, is to aggressively target elite, mismatch-style playmakers like a Kyle Pitts, who are perfect schematic fits for that new system. Each step builds directly and purposefully on the one that came before it. And all of this brings us right back to the ultimate question that is going to define this entire era for the Miami Dolphins. The blueprint is on the table, the architect is at work, he's laying the foundation with a new coaching staff, and he's aiming for the sky with star players. But will the final structure be a championship palace? Or will it be a house of cards? The plan is bold, the vision is clear, but only time is going to tell if these moves will translate into actual wins in a brutally competitive AFC. So what do you think of this blueprint? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoy this kind of in-depth breakdown and want to help support the channel, please make sure to subscribe to NFL Nexus and like this explainer. Also, consider checking out our unique NFL-themed coloring books. They're perfect for fans of all ages. Kids, grandkids, even for adults. You can find them using the link in the description or just by scanning the QR code on your screen now. Thanks so much for watching.